What up, y'all? It's your host, I2I35, and this is going to be another episode of the Correcting SolRosenberg84 series, where I plan on reviewing every single one of Sol Rosenberg's videos, all the way from the beginning till the end. And nothing says quite like responding to a rude-gutted talking brother who looks a lot like Harry Potter and Greg Arkin, and someone who maliciously blocked me for no reason. And I'm gonna have to say this, Mike. You can't defend a dying, dangerous, depressing, fallacious, erroneous worldview. And this video is titled, No Religion in School. Well, I'm going to have to decipher many things through this one video he made before getting to my major point, and this is what he has to say about it.
Stance on prayer in schools.
Prayer in schools is basically important because that's one of the major things which can help students succeed in their education. They're not just saying words or magical words. Basically applying their faith in their heart. Prayer actually does happen. But ever since it's been thrown out of schools, schools have been going corrupt. As simple as that. There's no way around it.
Of any type, or basically having one religion to be more accepted than others in a school system.
Basically, that's not what we're doing. Having one religion to be accepted more than others in a school system. No, that's not what we do. We basically show the evidence as to what, basically, the gospel of Christ is not religion. And there's abundant evidence and confirmation for it, and that religion, indeed, is garbage. I agree with your title, No Religion in School. But basically, religion still is in the school. And basically, evolutionism, teaching people that they came from protoplasm worth nothing and stuff like that. There's no evidence whatsoever, and a lot of lies used to support it. There's still evolution in the school. When they threw prayer, the Ten Commandments, and Bible out of the schools, they didn't throw out religion. They threw out the gospel of Christ, and they replaced it with a religion called evolutionism, and as far as anyone knows, the public schools have become churches of humanism. And look what kind of person it's giving. Look what kind of generations of people it's giving us.
And I'm saying I am 150% completely against it.
I agree with you, but you're not applying it right.
In Ontario, where I'm from, where Catholic schools are allowed to get funding from the government as well as funding from the Catholic Church, I think.
Basically, Catholicism is not part of Christianity whatsoever. It is a cult in every sense of the word. It is not a church in any historical biblical perspective or sense. Basically, tax funding schools tax dollars used to teach perfectly good lies in schools such as evolutionism. That is a big waste of money. And basically, Catholic schools, there might be a lot of incredibly smart, super intelligent, kind, highly intelligent people in there who have just been absolutely duped, and they don't know that they're preaching for a lie. There's a lot of evidence that basically Catholicism is a big lie and a counterfeit church set up in Satan to counteract true Christian growth. It is a political system and has to go as much as Islam. It's a cult in every sense of the word.
My beliefs, and I found that listening to the Mass was always boring, but now it just took an ominous tone.
Mass is blasphemous. There's no such thing mentioned like that in the Bible.
And instead I thought, you know what, I won't just run away. I'm just going to go see if I can talk to the administration and appeal through logic and human reason.
Basically, one of the many things Soli or Mikey does in this video is basically taking a lot of these bad things. I agree that they're bad, like Catholicism is doing, but superimposing that on the gospel of Christ and Christian missionaries and ministries and evangelical ministries and humanitarian organizations and Christian private schools and such as the like as the same thing, that's really shallow thinking and hallucinated short-sightedness. It's not the same thing. I agree with you that basically basically talking to the person that you don't want to do this, you're part of a kind of this that is basically religion, going through this system or whatever, and you feel so hard-hearted that basically religion is no way close to God. Basically, it hinders a person from experiencing the goodness of God.
After explaining this to him for around 2 minutes, he looked at me and said, that doesn't matter. Shut up and go to Mass. And I could have spat in his face and flipped his desk. I have never been so angry in my entire life.
Well, it really looks like you were mostly angry with that list I gave you.
And no one should have to go through that. No one can be told to their face, what you think, what you believe, doesn't matter. Shut up and go.
I agree with you 150%, but that's not what it's like. Like, for example, with Kent Hovind. He never did that in any of his classes. He was legitimately showing people, the evidence and confirmation for the gospel and so on. It's not like that at all with the gospel of Christ. Religion, I agree, it just forces its message down people's throats. But that's not the way it is with the gospel of Christ. And basically, Catholicism is in no way close to it. Basically, in the guise of so-called, if it likes to be in the guise of, like Christianity, it's not, okay? And superposing it on this as the same thing, it's not the same thing, okay? And Kent Hovind, his classes were kind. He wasn't shoving anything down people's throats. He was basically lecturing like a normal teacher and giving proper research, knowledge, understanding, science, and reason.
Schools, which basically means not just allowing kids to pray in schools, it means having one religion to be more important than others in the school system.
That's what I've been trying to make clear about this evolutionism theory being promoted as one true religion in the schools. Basically, no religion is true. Basically, there is no evidence whatsoever for any of these religions to be true. They're all made-up fantasies. But with the gospel of Christ, it is different. There's confirmation, evidence from science, history, etc., that people have actually gone out, not accepted and taken for granted what they've just been told in the liberal biased classroom. They've actually gone out and searched out the evidence for themselves and found that the gospel of Christ is the only truthful message that they have ever heard in their life. And basically, religion still is in the school. It's not out of the schools. It's basically Darwinism. And it's really giving us a whole generation of really degenerated folks who are nothing but ill-mannered and disrespectful and really need to put 100 bars of soap in their mouth.
And if you disagree with me, I sincerely say,
I'm going to have to say that cussing and swearing is basically only for those for the uneducated, who can't argue logically or talk properly with adjectives or exclamations. They just don't know their decent vocabulary anymore. They just think, and F you, I don't hate you, you're a F, you're a F, you're a F you. They're basically not using proper words anymore. They're basically just want to stick to all these gutter-talking language which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why not say something like, you are a degenerated, backwards, old snob. You are not giving me any legitimate evidence whatsoever. Like using this, basically this decent vocabulary is basically the proper way to communicate with people. Just cussing and swearing and so on, it's just going to not make any sense whatsoever. You're just not going to get anywhere. Okay? I'm going to have to say this, but the uneducated cuss.